The woman is surprised to find that the man on her pillow doesn't seem to be her husband, because her husband never snored in his sleep, not to mention the habit of asking to share the bed with her before going to sleep. Moreover, her husband, who has always been proud of himself, has taken the unprecedented step of washing the dishes today. The woman was suspicious of him, and the woman's suspicion is not wrong, because her husband had already been switched by someone else. It turns out that the man lost his life in a car accident yesterday. Coincidentally, the person he collided with happened to have the same name as him, but the man with the same name only suffered minor injuries. Unexpectedly, the Grim Reaper came to the hospital and mistakenly took away the soul of the man with minor injuries. But the next moment, the Grim Reaper received the news that he had hooked the wrong soul. But when the man's soul came to the hospital, he found that his body was being cremated. Guilt-stricken, the Shinigami decided to put him in the body of a Zaibatsu with the same name. At that moment, the family of the Zaibatsu was having a funeral. The Undertaker was heavy-faced as he tidied him up. But then the man's hand moved. The Undertaker wanted to tell his family, but in the end, he fainted from the shock. When the plutocrat sat up from inside, the people at the scene were stunned. This man named Jack not only treated his subordinates very harshly, even his wife was treated like a subordinate. Every word he said was an order to his wife. But his wife, Anna, had had enough of this. She's never had a single moment of care from her husband in her life. The man with the same name is a cook in a small restaurant. He's a tough-looking man, but inside he's a funny boy. The family of 4 is not rich, but they live happily together. Such a humorous, harmonious and dedicated soul is suddenly replaced by a plutocrat with a completely opposite personality. Jack's awakening caused a sensation. The doctors were unable to explain it to the TV stations. The man who woke up was also confused, because he didn't know these family members. It wasn't until he saw the mirror that he realized something. So he borrowed a mobile phone from a woman and dialed his wife Lisa's number. He cried and told her what had happened to him, but Lisa thought it was a scam and hung up on him. Then his childhood friend Carl came to visit him in the hospital. Seeing that Jack didn't recognize himself anymore, Carl thought Jack had lost his memory because of the accident. The man wanted to leave the hospital and explain to his family, but Anna told him to wait until he got better. He had no choice but to do a sexy dance on the spot to prove that he had recovered. But his wife was completely dumbfounded. She couldn't believe it was her unruly husband. Luckily, with Carl's help, the man escaped from the hospital and returned to a place he really knew. And then he ran into Lisa, who was taking out the rubbish. The man went up to her and told her he was her husband, and he told her the secret of the birthmark on her bottom. But Lisa thought he was a pervert. She grabbed a shovel and was about to give the man a beating. Carl was a little confused when he heard the commotion. He couldn't believe that the high and mighty Jack had such a hobby. Then Carl brought Jack back to the rich man's house. Looking at the strange wife and 2 children in front of him, the man didn't know how to explain to them, so he ran into the bathroom, hit himself and sat on the floor, crying. Then the man took a shower and went to his room. Anna came in wearing her pajamas. When she opened the wardrobe, she found it full of other people's underwear. Curious, she asked her husband why, but the man said he didn't want to wear other people's underwear. The family thought the man was haunted by an evil spirit, so they invited a famous goddess to perform a ritual for him. But in the middle of the ceremony, she accidentally fell down. The scene left the god of death in the tree speechless. That day, the man came to the restaurant he had owned before he died, and it was almost closed. So he went back to his wealthy mother to borrow money, and without hesitation, the rich mother gave her son a bag of cash. The man then disguised himself as a courier and sent the money to his wife Lisa. When they opened it, they were shocked. They had never seen so much money in their lives. Luckily, the man had written a letter in the name of a friend. He left his mobile phone number and said to contact him in case of trouble. At this moment, the man's tears could no longer be held back, seeing his family right in front of him but unable to recognize them. But when he got back to the Zaibatsu's home at night, he encountered a new problem.